Arctic is not simply a place of cold. It is a place of absolute stillness. A silence so profound that early polar explorers reported hearing their own blood pumping through their veins. They called it the White Madness. But beneath the ice of the Fram Strait, 4,000 meters down, the silence is a lie. The ocean floor is a chaotic acoustic chamber. It remembers every sound ever made. And on August 15, 2011, the research vessel Northern Horizon didn't just break the silence. It woke up the graveyard. At 0800 hours, the mission parameters shifted from biology to physics. The crew of the Northern Horizon had deployed smart hooks, magnetic deterrents designed to repel sharks using a specific electromagnetic flux. The theory was sound. Overwhelm the shark's ampullae of Lorenzini, their electrical sensors, and they will flee. But theory assumes the animal is just an animal. It assumes the animal hasn't been engineered.
Bridge, look at the wire. It's not taut, it's vibrating. The whole line is humming.
The magnets didn't repel them. They acted as a wake-up call. Hundreds of Greenland sharks rising from the abyss, drawn to the ship not by the bait, but by the signal. They didn't bite, they didn't thrash. They simply arranged themselves. A perfect geometric circle beneath the keel, suspended in the water column like mesmerizing grey monoliths. And then, the sound started. 19 Hertz. This is known as the ghost frequency. It is just below the threshold of human hearing, but it resonates with the resonant frequency of the human eyeball. On the bridge, Captain Eneson rubs his eyes. His vision is blurring. Not because he is tired, but because the fluid in his eyes is vibrating in sympathy with the sharks. The crew begins to feel a sense of dread, irrational, primal. This is not fear of death. This is the biological memory of a predator that hunted us before we had fire.
They aren't feeding, Captain. They are broadcasting.
Rewind the tape. 4,345 years. The location is the same, the edge of the known world. But the ice is replaced by the burning sands of Mesopotamia, Eridu, the first city, the mound of creation. The air smells of bitumen, burnt cedar, and fear. Entenar, the high priest of the E-Abzu, stands on the terrace of the ziggurat. He looks north. The horizon is no longer empty. It is dark with the dust of 10,000 soldiers. Sargon of Akkad is coming. Sargon the Great. The first man to call himself King of the Universe. History books tell you Sargon wanted land. They tell you he wanted gold. They are wrong. Entenar knows the truth. Sargon is coming for the library. He is coming to silence the gods.
The clay is too weak. The stone is too brittle. The king will burn it all.
Entina touches the cool stone of the parapet. He understands the physics of memory. Solids are static, subject to entropy and hammers. But liquids are dynamic. They reform around the obstacle. To save the signal, it must cease to be an object. It must become a behavior. The priesthood of Enki faces an impossible problem. They possess the me, the divine algorithms of civilization, the star charts, the cycles of the flood, the mathematics of the poles. If Sargon takes the city, he will destroy the data. He wants to reset history to start with himself. They need a storage medium that Sargon cannot burn. They need a vault that has no door. Deep beneath the ziggurat lies the Abzu, the freshwater ocean. The priests gather. They hold tuning forks, long, strange instruments, forged not from copper, but from fire from the sky. Meteoritic iron, high nickel content. They do not chant prayers, they chant coordinates. They strike the iron against the water. This is cymatics, the science of visible sound. The surface of the black water begins to boil with geometry. Hexagons, spirals. The chaotic liquid organizes itself into a structured lattice. They are writing the history of the world into the molecular memory of the water. But water flows. Water evaporates. The message needs a carrier, a guardian. From the dark canals that connect the temple to the Persian Gulf, they enter. Shadows in the water. The ancestors of Somniosus microcephalus. They are smaller than their Arctic descendants, but their eyes are just as dead. They glide into the sacred cistern. They do not attack the priests. They are drawn to the frequency. The vibration stimulates their nervous system like a narcotic. Entena wades into the water. He places the vibrating iron against the flank of the alpha female. The shark shudders. The data is transferred. It is not magic. It is bio-acoustic imprinting. The shark's brain is rewired. Its instinct to hunt is overwritten by the instinct to preserve. The priest whispers the final command into the water. Sleep. Drift. Wait for the signal. Back in the Fram Strait, the wait is over. The sharks beneath the northern horizon have received the confirmation ping. The frequency shifts. It drops from 19 Hz to 17.8 Hz. This is a specific number. It is the natural resonant frequency of tempered maritime steel.
The rivets! Look at the rivets! They're popping out!
In structural engineering, this is called aeroelastic flutter, but applied to hydrodynamics. The ship isn't breaking, it is becoming liquid. The molecular bonds holding the steel hull together are being vibrated until they lose cohesion. The deck plates ripple like a bedsheet in the wind. Glass shatters in the bridge. Not from impact, but because it can no longer hold its shape against the acoustic pressure. And then the bioluminescence begins. The water around the ship turns a sickly, radioactive green. This is not chemical light. The sharks are generating so much acoustic energy that they are creating piezoelectric fields in the salt water. They are turning the ocean into a battery. The northern horizon is no longer a ship. It is an electrode. And the sharks are discharging the current.
It's not just a signal, it's a map. I can see it in the static. I can see the city.
The hull breaches. The ocean rushes in. But it's not just water entering the ship, it's the signal. As the crew drowns, the last thing they hear isn't the ocean. It's the chanting of the priests from 4,000 years ago. The gates of Eridu fall. The Akkadian army pours into the streets. They are not like the Sumerians. They are professional killers. Composite bows, bronze axes. They slaughter the city guard. But they do not stop to loot the granaries. They do not steal the women. They run straight for the temple. Sargon rides at the front. He looks terrified. We have judged Sargon for millennia. We called him a barbarian. But look at his face. He enters the E-Abzu. He sees the priests singing to the water. He feels the vibration in his teeth. He knows what this is. In the Akkadian legends, this is the uproar that caused the gods to send the first flood. Sargon isn't trying to destroy culture. He is trying to stop the apocalypse. Behind Sargon, his elite guard falls to their knees. They drop their shields. They claw at their ears, ripping away helmets. The sound from the system isn't just loud. It is rewriting their perception of gravity. They are vomiting from the vertigo of a world that is suddenly shaking apart.
Silence them! Cut their throats! Break the iron!
The soldiers attack. They smash the tuning forks. They tackle the priests into the water. The water turns red with blood. The chanting stops. The vibration dies. Sargon stands panting over the body of Entenar. He thinks he has won. He thinks he has unplugged the machine. But then he looks at the canal gate. The underwater sluice that leads to the sea. It is open. Hundreds of grey shapes are slipping out, silent, invisible in the murky water. They are leaving the city. They are taking the data with them. Sargon runs to the edge of the water. He screams into the dark, but it is too late. The carriers have launched. The Nisirtu is gone. Sargon burns the city to the ground, trying to destroy any record of the frequency. He tries to erase the memory, but he forgot one thing. The ocean never forgets. The signal from the sinking northern horizon hits the SOFAR channel. 1,500 meters per second, pure acoustic data. It travels under the ice. It bypasses the thermal layers. 4 hours later, it reaches the Azores. 6 hours later, the Mariana Trench. 10 hours later, the Indian Ocean. This is the cascade effect. The Greenland sharks were just the Arctic node, but the network is global. In the deep trenches of the Pacific, the sleeper sharks wake up. In the Atlantic, the six-gill sharks rise from the gloom. They all share the same ancient programming, the same genetic update. The signal has been received. Initiate Phase 2. Deep in the North Atlantic, a forgotten hydrophone array, a relic of the Cold War designed to track Soviet submarines, lights up. The SOSUS line. For 50 years, it listened for nuclear engines. Today, it registers a biological wall of sound moving south. The operators don't mark it as a submarine. They mark it as a tectonic event. Look at the sky above the Arctic. The aurora borealis is shifting. The familiar green oxygen emission is gone. It is replaced by a deep, blood-red nitrogen band. Why? Because the sharks are manipulating the local magnetosphere. Thousands of ampullae of Lorenzini organs resonating in sync create a diamagnetic field strong enough to thin the ionosphere. They are punching a hole in the sky. Solar radiation pours through. GPS satellites blind out. Radio communications across the northern hemisphere turn to static. The modern world is deaf. The ancient world is speaking. The northern horizon is gone. The site is empty. But the water is still boiling. The circle of sharks breaks. They do not scatter. They form a column, a phalanx. They turn south. They are following a map that hasn't existed for 4,000 years. They swim past the ruins of Doggerland. They swim through the Straits of Gibraltar. They are heading for the Suez, toward the Red Sea, toward the Persian Gulf. They are going home. This migration defies every law of marine biology. They swim through schools of bluefin tuna. They pass injured whales. Their metabolic hunger is suppressed. The drive to feed has been replaced by the drive to transmit. They are no longer animals participating in an ecosystem. They are packets of data moving through a fiber optic cable made of water. Why? What is the message they are carrying back to the source? It isn't a poem, it isn't a prayer, it is a timer. The Sumerian priests knew that the Earth's magnetic poles shift every 12,000 years. They knew the cycle brings catastrophe, the great flood, the long winter. They didn't build the sharks to warn us. They built the sharks to restart the terraforming process after we are gone. Sargon tried to stop the clock. We, in our arrogance, just wound it up again. The sharks are returning to the Abzu. When they arrive, when they discharge that 4,000-year-old frequency into the aquifers of Iraq, the water will rise. The cradle of civilization will become its grave once more. The library is open, and the rent is due. Stay tuned to the Pelagic archives so you don't miss the next video about the Abzu frequency.